Frontier Airlines is flying out of Midway again for the first time in 7 years.
Let's discuss this with DePaul University transportation professor Joe Schwieterman. Good to have you back.
Thank you.
Okay, like Anthony said, it was 7 years ago that we saw Frontier at Midway. What does this mean? It's going to be flying out of both Midway and O'Hare again. This surprise you?
It's a really good news story. I mean, we've watched Southwest grow at Midway and gradually become essentially the only airline out of that airport. There's very few large airports in the country dominated by one airline. 98% of flights, Delta's in there with a few flights, but it's been all Southwest. And Frontier not only is going to go there, but they're going to keep a presence at O'Hare. So they're pretty optimistic about Chicago here. It's obvious.
All right, so that optimism, what do you feel like is behind it? We keep reporting on travel and COVID and staff shortages. Is this a good sign for the airline industry as a whole?
Well, it is, and we're seeing the public really post-pandemic really gravitate toward what we call these ultra discounters, where you buy a cheap seat, and of course you want to bring a carry-on bag, you want to get a seat assignment, you pay extra. And America seemed to figure out how to make that work. They got bags you can bring on board, fit under your seat. And so the four airlines that are in that segment really growing are Spirit, which is the largest, and they're big at O'Hare. Now Frontier is going to really make Chicago a focal point. And there's a couple of new airlines out there like Breeze that are growing. So it's a big high growth segment. Chicago's going to get a bigger piece of the action.
What does this mean for Midway, you think? I mean, you mentioned that Southwest is, of course, the king there. Are these renovations going to be luring places like Frontier and others back in?
Well, they're going to start with 8 destinations or so, and then maybe expand a bit come October with some more Florida flights, and keep probably the 4 destinations from O'Hare, their 4 core destinations. The noteworthy thing about this is, though, that Midway, O'Hare, we got big expansion plans with the new terminal, Terminal 2 and so forth, the international terminal expanding. Midway, it's hard to add gates. It's a landlocked airport without much room for that. So it's going to be a tight squeeze at Midway to shoehorn Frontier in there.
All right, Joe Schwieterman, always appreciate your perspective. Thanks for being on the program.